How's everyone doing? Dave Thompson with Bare Bones. The first portion of this video is something I probably should have established a long time ago, in the beginning, when I first started the YouTube channel. What I would like to do is start this video off by being as clear as I can as far as the mission statement and our goal here at Bare Bones. Our goal is to offer perspective, insight, and from where we sit, or specifically from where I sit, on the subject of leadership. My goal is to share my experiences on effective leadership and ineffective leadership through my lessons, my mistakes, things that I've experienced, things that I've seen. What Bare Bones is not about is to offer people a structured step-by-step process and how to build themselves into a leader. And the reason for that is because that's incredibly ineffective. So I want to take a minute and explain why I feel that that's incredibly ineffective. There are way too many variables in the leadership realm, in the leadership world. Through my experiences, in the principles, the strategies, the priorities that I talk about and that I find to be the most effective strategies, those are a generalization, right? Those are principles, TTPs, techniques, tactics, and procedures that can be applied to situations. One of the variables is the type of environment, right? My lessons, my experiences, for the most part, are military based. They're military based, they're law enforcement based, and in that world, there are specific traits and characteristics. There are specific people who share similar aptitudes, similar training, similar examples that we've followed in our development and growth as leaders and as followers, which are they run concurrent. The other thing is these specific examples, right? The older guys, the examples of frontline leaders that I had are certainly examples that I find more than worthy to follow and emulate. We didn't necessarily, and we still don't, share the same skill sets. We don't share the same work environment anymore. Yet, the intangibles that I've learned are invaluable to me. Those are the traits and the characteristics that transcend any environment, any industry. And those general traits, strategies, principles, priorities, those are the things that it's my goal to put out there and promote. In a perfect world, I would like to see folks grab onto those and apply them in their setting and in their environment, in their industry, to grow and develop themselves. That's the end game. Where things get dicey sometimes is that in our culture, right, our society these days, everyone's looking for the hack. Everyone's looking for the advantage. Everyone's looking for the silver platter. The the beauty of leadership is that there is no hack. If you cut corners, if you choose to not do the work, if you choose to not apply the principles, the intangibles, grow and develop yourself appropriately, you'll be exposed. It may not matter to you. It will matter to the people in your environment. And that's why I feel it's very important. So as we go along and through these videos and whatever other content I'm able to put out, the podcast and those type of things, you'll probably hear me say quite a bit, from where I sit and use terms like that, from where I sit, from my perspective, through my lens. I find it a fool's errand for me to sit behind a camera and lay out a path, a step by step process, and tell another adult, another human being, that you need to do A, B, C, and D, and that will give you the result of E, F, and G. That math doesn't work. My process, my specific process, my ABC steps were a means to an end to fulfill a specific mission, a specific mission statement. Your mission statement is your mission statement, and it's unique to you and your environment. So I just wanted to be very, very clear on what our goal is here. Um, at the end of the day, it's the individual who's going to take the principles, who's going to take the perspectives, who's going to take the priorities, the strategies, the techniques, tactics, and procedures, apply them to their specific objectives, mission statements, goals, and utilize them to grow and develop not only themselves, but their subordinates, their teams, their divisions, and their organization. So that's where we're at. I just wanted to be very, very crystal clear on that. So let's dive into the meat of this video. What I'd like to talk about is, how does one become a leader, right? Do we just pop out of the womb and boom, you know, we're the top dog? We're born with those characteristics? There's a lot of questions out there. And as I looked into some of the biggest issues and questions in certain age groups, is one of the biggest things out there is, can a leader be developed and trained, or just people naturally born leaders. From where I sit, from my perspective, no one's just born anything. When people talk about being naturally born anything, I think back to Customato, who had a great comment for a reporter who mentioned that Mike Tyson was a natural fighter, a natural puncher, a natural, beast. D'Amato's reply was, nobody's naturally anything. And he's right. We're all born with different aptitudes for different things. And leadership's no different. People might have more advanced development of different aptitudes and characteristics that favor leadership. At the end of the day, those aptitudes and characteristics still have to be grown. They have to be developed. They have to be practiced. They have to be applied. If they're never applied, no one could ever fail. If you can't fail, or if you don't fail, you don't get the benefit of the experience and the lessons. So the short answer is no. People are not naturally born a leader or anything else in my opinion. Now there are some outliers and anomalies where the aptitude is through the roof, right? If we really do a deep dive into it. I mean, Bo Jackson was probably the most advanced athlete that I have personally ever seen in my life. And that's a great example of an outlier. Um, is that sustainable? Only time will tell, right? Um, we can tell by the length of careers sometimes, right? So if we're not born a natural leader and it takes some development and growth, how do we get there? Fair question. For me, it was a young kid, 17 years old, in a major military installation, looking around, not legitimately not knowing whether to shit or go blind, and wondering where these grown men came from, how they got to be that sharp, that intimidating, that charismatic, and just had that aura about them that when they bellowed, 30 guys did exactly what they said to do. How did that happen? Right? How did they wake up every morning after going through the same 17 or 18-hour day and look pristine? Right? How did they do it? That's what I wanted to emulate, right? Moving forward, getting to my first unit, again, when the guys got back from a deployment, I was still stateside. Again, a young kid being in awe of these guys technical knowledge, their work ethic, their camaraderie, their um, welcoming this skinny little geeky kid out of basic training. Those examples is what I want it to be. I soon learned, though, that just copying paste and pasting everything that they didn't necessarily work for me, right? Um, and we falter and we make mistakes, and I'm no different, right? We all stumble, we all make mistakes. But that is a guideline, right? If you are in an industry or in an environment where there is people that you see from afar that carry themselves a certain way, that articulate themselves in a certain way, that present in a certain way, that non-verbally communicates confidence, leadership qualities, whatever your definition of leadership qualities may be. If those qualities are appealing to you and you are looking for an example, be that example that you wish you had, right? Have that uncomfortable conversation. Hey, listen, I see the way you move around here. You know, you seem to have a command presence. Here are my questions. Ask advice. Hey, what do you think of this? Right? Communicate a situation and ask their perspective. See what their point of view is. And then filter what fits you and shit can the rest. Work on yourself, right? Is it awkward at first? Yep, 100%. It's awkward, right? Will you get rejected? Maybe. Will you be the butt of jokes? Might be. Yep. Will you know, will there be rumors and shit talk and all that other stuff? Yep, that comes with it. Sure does. 100%. Is it worth it? That's up to you, right? For me, I can only tell you for me, after a very long time, I'm a self-admitted late bloomer, right? So after a very long time, in years and years and years and years of stumbles and lessons, uh, probably some hard-headedness, definitely ego, that the squeeze is worth the juice, right? The squeeze is worth the juice. And if it means that your circle only contains one or two trusted examples, mentors, coaches, whatever term you want to use, then so be it. Then so be it, right? I would rather take two or three wolves out on a hunt than a pack of fucking betas. That's that's the truth. Embrace the failures, right? Embrace that stuff. There's no getting away from it. um, to be a Dave Thompson and think that everything has to be perfect, everything will be perfect because my ego says so. That that will that will be a lesson in humility at some point, right? If I wasn't willing to humble myself, then life took care of that without a doubt. In short, be the leader that you wish you had. If you are in an environment where you feel the leadership or the administration, the top dogs, the managers, the supervisors, whatever structure you work under, is lacking or ineffective, be the opposite. Be what you wish was driving the boat, right? Whoever, whatever methods that, whatever methods, characteristics, intangibles that you wish were steering the ship that you're functioning in, be that. Set the example. Um, Another part of that is developing a set of values. And that was one thing that I am infinitely grateful for is the ethos, the creeds, the value system that I was fortunate enough to work within and adopt as my own in the military. Those ethos have served me very, very well. It and it's not just in a work environment. It's in life in general. It keeps me within my moral left and right limits. And that in turn, that equates to a much more effective leader. And when we talk about leadership, I've said this before on podcasts and videos and things like that. When we talk about leadership, we talk about first and foremost leading ourselves daily. Lead self daily, every day. Staying within those ethos, staying inside them and focusing our moral compass to where we need to be and letting that guide us to where we would like to go keeps us accountable. It holds us accountable. And it's you holding yourself accountable. If you if you have the ability in the intangibles to hold yourself accountable, that translates into down the line if you have people in your charge that have to be held accountable and how to do it the right way, right? And the balance of perspective, empathy, balance that with the overall mission and the other people involved, right? That is invaluable, in my opinion, right? Now, do people move up and do people ascend and do people grab positions of rank and authority um, without these intangibles and characteristics and ethos? Yeah, all the time, 100% of the time. How effective are they, right? How effective are they? And how much control over that do you have, right? That's another lesson. That's certainly another lesson that I learned. And again, being hard-headed and stubborn, it took me a very long time to understand that those those ascensions and those people in those positions are there for reasons well beyond my control. What can I do about that? Nothing. I can't do a thing. But you know what I can do? I can work on myself, right? I can take full responsibility for myself. I can be technically and tactically proficient in my duties, whatever they might be, right? I can hold myself accountable, right? I can always learn and grow. I can always pick up a book. I can always ask for advice and help, right? I can always hone my craft. I can always make time for myself. I can and try to be as healthy as I can, mind, body, and spirit, right? I can always find time to work out. I can always find time to for mindfulness and whatever else I need to do to keep myself in the game. I can always keep myself in a position where I will never be the weakest link, right? I can set the example. Now, I set the example for myself first and foremost, right? If I then try to push that on other people, if I try to project that to where everyone has to be a clone of Dave Thompson, that dog doesn't hunt either. That's ineffective as well. I can set an example, a nonverbal example, and let others use me as a resource, right? Or I can be secular, not care about the betterment of the team, right? I put myself above the sum of the whole. But now I'm outside my ethos, right? I'm outside my moral compass is taking a sharp turn one way or the other. It's not it's not true north where I really want to be. And that's for me. Um, Again, through my lens, through my perspective. Everyone else has their own way of doing things. And in my world, in Dave Thompson's world, it's neither right, wrong, it's neither good nor bad. It is as it comes. I don't have, I haven't reached perfection. I don't have everything on lock to where I can afford the time, the energy, the emotional capital, the mental health or the mental capital to debate and go back and forth on what's right and wrong or what's good and bad. I don't. I'm taking away from myself, right? And if I'm not taken care of, then there's no way I can take care of a team. If a team isn't, if I'm not helping to take care of a team, the overall goal suffers, right? So I know it sounds like a selfish way of doing things, but it's actually the most selfless thing that you can do is take care of yourself first and foremost. right? People are going to be what they're going to be. And there's value in that. If you really, really take a look at it and maybe step back and grab a panoramic view, the biggest view that you can take of your environment, your situation, your fellow workers or team or whatever you got going on. And there's value in everybody, in everyone's approach, in everyone's character, in everyone's intangibles across the board, right? Whether we consider them in our world, our own specific individual worlds, whether we consider them morally right or wrong, or ethically right or ethically wrong, it doesn't matter. They hold value. It's either something that we filter out in shit can, because in our world someone's a complete shitbag, or they they talk a good game but present like a dirty fucking diaper, right? Or they hold value in that they're genuine and they possess the intangibles that maybe I would like to emulate to help build me in my skill sets, right? And build my character so I can be a more effective part of the team, right? The cream, it's very true. The cream always does rise to the top. Another thing that was and still is an incredible lesson is nothing is instantaneous. Nothing at all. That's very true in leadership from my perspective. Now, again, people ascend quickly, right? Ask yourself this. If you see people making rank, holding positions, and moving up rapidly, what category do they fall in, right? More than likely, in my opinion, it's an appointed position, right? They're appointed, they're fast tracked, they're moved up, right? Are they, do they cultivate that position as a leadership position and really put the hammer down and the extra work to develop themselves into leaders? And whatever your definition of leader is, that's up to you. Or are those people managers, supervisors, or are they just a boss? There is a lot less complexities, or I take that back. It's very simple to be a boss, right? It's very simple. You work hard, you put the time and effort into honing your skills, you stay within your moral compass and your ethos, you grow and develop your intangibles, your character, and you stay within those left and right limits. Pretty simple, right? Toughest thing I ever, toughest road I ever hoed, without a doubt, hands down. When you are a manager a supervisor, a boss. From what I've seen and through my experiences with some very, very effective leaders and some very ineffective leaders, is that the complexity lies in being a manager, being a supervisor, being a boss. When your approach is small ball, when it is just putting out fires, when there is no long term or short term, mid, and long term plans, no no effort into operational planning, plans to take care of your subordinates in your team, as those issues come across your desk, you're putting out fires, right? You're layering, you're putting things off. You'll get to it when you get to it. And these things tend to pile up and they get complex. And then we take the easy way out. Um, Usually, and again, from my experience, from where I've sat, is that usually the team suffers, right? Something gets put above the team, right? We, as a manager, supervisor, or boss, you're more apt to put something above the sum of the whole. Whereas a leader is focused on the overall goal, the team, and then himself in that order, non-negotiable across the board. From where I've sat, the leaders, the people that I've had the incredible, like outstanding fortune to have worked for, worked under, they they possess those priorities. And it's a cornerstone of their leadership philosophy. They do everything they can to not put anything above the sum of the whole. It's the whole, it's the team that's going to fulfill that goal. They're going to complete that mission. To put anything above that in an effective leader's world is sacrilege. Not so much with a manager, a supervisor, or a boss. That matrix needs to get completed, right? Those pie charts need to get colored in, right? Those charts need to be continually rising. And if it's government work, and the caveat with that with government work is that there is that bureaucratic bullshit in the military for sure. The most effective leaders do an incredible job of insulating their units from that. When you get down to the smaller sized elements, it's all about the team. It's all about the overall goal, right? And again, there's outliers in the military as well, right? There certainly is. Um, for the most part, though, the most effective leaders stick to that. So there's some decisions to make, right? Are you willing to do what it takes to work on yourself for a long time? Again, we're not picking up a guide or a step-by-step structured booklet that lays out every single tick that you need to hit in order to, in 30 days, have the title of a leader. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. I know people with not 1 ounce of rank that were infinitely, infinitely more of a leader than the head of an organization that employed 1,000 people. If you hold any influence, you're a leader. Now, what I'm about to say is my opinion and my opinion only for this video. I know people who share my thoughts and share my mindset. If you are in a position of leadership, and that is appointed, assumed, or a person of influence in your team, in your division, in your agency, in your department, in your organization across the board, it is Dave Thompson's opinion that you have a responsibility to conduct yourself accordingly. If you know, and you will know, that you have others that look to you for advice, or if something goes wrong and they look to you as a decision maker or somebody who is going to be effective in getting through a situation, you shoulder a responsibility to present yourself accordingly, right? You owe somebody that for carrying that title, whether it's an unspoken title, a spoken title, it's pinned on your chest, whatever the case may be. You owe that to the team, right? Unfortunately, we all get caught up, and I've found myself getting caught up as well, in all the nonsense, right? All the complaining, the bitching, the negativity. That gets no one anywhere. The most inefficient use of time, for sure. So, as we wrap up here, a quick summary. My beliefs are this: nobody's born a leader, right? No one's born the next Hal Moore, right? No one's born, a great mastermind, influential, generational transcending leader. It's work, right? You certainly may have an aptitude and different characteristics that lend themselves to being an effective leader, but those skills have to be honed, right? They have to be developed, they have to be grown, and they have to be applied. Be the example you wish you had. Be the leader you wish you answered to. Be that. Understand that it's not going to happen overnight. It's a very long process. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say it's a lifelong process, right? But embrace it. Embrace it. In my opinion, there's nothing more fulfilling than helping somebody and being an example to somebody who advances further than you, right? The the overall goal of a leader is to create more effective leaders than he or she is or has been. That's the overall goal. So, with that, I appreciate you guys checking out this video. Stay tuned for a lot more. If you guys find any value in this, please hit that subscribe button, comment, share, and engage with me. I'd be happy to talk and communicate with anybody. Hit us up on social media. We're on the gram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, obviously. Stay tuned for our free webinar. It's coming up on May 12th. Check out our website for additional free webinars and free trainings. And we look forward to seeing you the next time. Thanks.